Welcome to America Uncanceled. I'm Mercy Schlapp, and Matt is out in CPAC Hungary. So again, I think we're like on a third week we haven't hung out together, which is just insane. But he's doing great work out there in the country where there's a lot of these freedom-loving individuals who are coming together, and they talk about traditional conservative values. And I know it's going to be a great event, and we'll get an update from him tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But I am honored to invite on the show a dear friend of mine, someone who I have known
a long time.
What, like over 20 years, which is just shocking. Yeah. We were babies back then, just babies. Brandi Swindell, she is CEO and founder of Stanton Healthcare, which is based out of Idaho. You've done incredible work with this organization. Tell us, what are you doing over at Stanton Healthcare?
Yeah.
And it's been basically, it's been around for quite some time already.
I founded Stanton Healthcare in 2006. We are based out in beautiful Idaho, my home state, but we actually have clinics around the nation: Southern California, Detroit, Public Policy Center. We opened in D.C. We also have a couple international clinics, North Ireland. We just opened one in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Wow.
And so what we do is we set up right next door to abortion clinics, Planned Parenthoods, and we make sure that women have life-affirming solutions to their unexpected pregnancies. And really, Mercy, I founded Stanton to give women the care that they deserve, quality medical professional care when they're facing unexpected pregnancy. But also I wanted healthcare clinics, boutique style, that represented women like you and I, that reject abortion as healthcare. We reject Planned Parenthood's line that to be empowered, we have to kill our offspring through abortion. So it's a model that I know millions and millions of women and Americans and families embrace, that we don't need abortion as a part of women's healthcare.
No, you're absolutely right. And you have been a leader in the pro-life movement for a very long time. So obviously watching what you've seen recently in these past few weeks with the SCOTUS leak that occurred, which I think was just atrocious, that something like a leak like this would happen out of the Supreme Court, where it was just Justice Alito's draft opinion basically saying that Roe v. Wade would be overturned, that it would go back to the states where the voters would decide. When this leak first happened, what was your initial reaction?
Well, Mercy, it was the same as you in that I've been doing pro-life work full time for 23 years now, and have been coming to Washington, D.C. for those 23 years too. And of course, leaks happen all the time in politics, with Congress, the White House, different places. But the Supreme Court's always been sacred, and that process has always been sacred. And so my first reaction, it was heartbreaking to see a leak. Then after that, it was absolute joy when it was confirmed that it was a real draft opinion. And I get chills that, that line that Justice Alito wrote in that draft opinion: Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. I mean, to have those words in writing, which is a movement we've been saying since Roe v. Wade was decided in 1973. And we've been working all these years because Roe has never been enshrined in the Constitution. It's never been a right that women have in the Constitution. And that's why it's always been unsettled. It's never been settled law of the land.
Well, but in the Democrats' mind, it's been settled a long time ago. I remember doing some of these women's shows that it was, the Republicans versus the liberals back in the day, and you would mention overturning Roe v. Wade, and they would look at you with just, the evil stares of like, how dare you say that? But I do think that there is something to be said of where the Supreme Court is going when it comes to Roe v. Wade. I think it caught a lot of us off guard because they thought, well, maybe they would go forward with the ban at 8 weeks or 10 weeks. But the mere fact that they're looking at overturning Roe v. Wade, well, the Democrats are viewing this as one of their top issues, I think, going into the midterm elections. They feel this is going to basically motivate their liberal base. What are your thoughts about that? Will they be successful, or has the pro-life movement been effective in, I think, just selling this message of the Democrats' policies are too extreme?
Right. They're too extreme. They want abortion without any restrictions. I mean, the Senate under Schumer and others, tried to pass, legislation that would codify Roe, which I don't know that most Americans understood. That meant no restrictions at all, nothing. Right. There could parental consent, conscience laws, any of those things out the door. And so they are radically extreme in basically their love and obsession with abortion, which does not represent the American people. And I think you're right. The pro-life movement, our messaging has been good. We have amazing, solid leaders, including female leaders, that say, this is not what women want. We deserve better than abortion in the movement. And I think we have science on our side, and we have an entire generation that was born after Roe, that was open prey in their mother's womb, that could have been aborted. Mercy, I was out at the Bands Off Our Bodies march a couple days ago. It was not a good turnout from the pro-abortion side.
Which is really,
I thought there'd be a lot more. Right. And when you talk to some of these radical pro-choice Democrat feminists, it's like, this is just going to destroy the Republican Party, or, that you tried to overturn Roe. People aren't that passionate about keeping abortion legal. They're just not. The average American is concerned about other things.
Right. Well, other things like inflation, gas prices going high, baby formula shortage, which is affecting so many mothers. I'd like to play a short video of Brandi. I mean, this should just go viral because it's so good, at this protest from this past weekend here in Washington, D.C. Take a listen. Brandi, this is what I love about you. You're fearless. You just take them on. What was their reaction to you? I mean, obviously, you were face to face with these pro-abortion activists. What was happening there?
Well, so we had a nice pro-life presence out there at their march, their pro-abortion, keep your bands off our bodies march. Again, they didn't have a massive turnout. We had a handful of pro-life groups out there doing a great job. Students for Life was out there doing their chant. And the pro-aborts thought they were really clever doing their F-U Alito chant. And so I just got on my bullhorn and joined right in with the chant, thanking Alito. Thank you, Alito. And of course, they just get infuriated. They just get, their blood boils. But you know what? It was getting out there and speaking the truth, standing for the voiceless is one of my favorite things to do, because it's an honor when you know you're on the right side of history. And that's what I felt like that day. These pro-aborts are on the wrong side of history, as like so many other atrocities throughout history. And this is a moment where really we need to make the most of it to speak our position, clarify our position, be a voice for the voiceless, be a voice for women, because society's watching and, we're gaining ground.
And quite frankly, I mean, the U.S. has been extreme on its position on abortion, where they allow for abortion well into the last trimester.
More extreme than other countries, yeah.
Exactly. Like, we're 1 in 7 countries, along with China and North Korea, where we allow for these extreme abortion measures. But you have seen the states really step it up. I mean, you've got the Texas heartbeat bill passed. Obviously, and other trigger laws like in Idaho, in Oklahoma as well, in Florida. When did this, you felt that there was a shift, when there was surely a shift going in the direction of, we're putting these bans in place, we're going to save babies' lives, and we're going to help women really make the right choice?
Well, you can see a true representation of what the American people feel when you look at, I think it's 23 states have restrictions or bans on abortions, and then 13, I think, that have trigger laws. And so,
what are the trigger laws?
So the trigger laws are that when Roe is dismantled or when Roe is overturned, immediately the law goes into effect to ban abortions. Because, of course, overturning Roe just puts it back into the hands of the states.
Right.
And so that's another line that the pro-choicers try to say, is that it's just going to be mass chaos and nobody's going to know. States are organized. Communities are organized. There's centers like Stanton that, life-affirming medical clinics outnumber pro-choice clinics, abortion clinics 4 to 1. We're ready as a nation to support women. We're ready, to have these laws in place, and many states already have them in place. And so, but what I think is interesting, when the pro-aborts do polling on American people, and they should say, oh, the majority embrace Roe. Well, most Americans don't know exactly what Roe means, Roe versus Wade. Again, they are busy doing other things in their lives, running their households and working and all those types of things. When you break down, well, do you favor a parental consent notification that a young girl has to have permission from her parents? Yes, they favor that. Do you think abortion should be banned at a certain place? Do you think that they're at a certain point in gestation? When you ask all these questions, the American people do not support abortion on demand. They don't support Roe. And so that's why it has to go back to the states, and the people can really be represented with complete bans or at least restrictions.
But you're having corporations a lot of them basically saying, hey, we're going to pay for your abortion. We'll pay for your travel expenses.
Which is so disturbing.
But there is a sense of, there's been a shift, I think, in the sense of corporations where they themselves have adopted a woke culture. They're adopting what I would say is a Democrat platform. And I got to tell you, Republicans have kind of had it with these woke corporations on this. What are your thoughts in terms of corporations really taking a political stance on this issue?
Well, I think it's really disturbing because are they going to offer women who want help adopting their baby? Are they going to provide for that? Women who want to go to a life-affirming pregnancy center, of course, we don't charge for most of our services, so there's not going to be a cost. But if a woman wants any life-affirming support, are these companies also going to help with that?
Right.
See, and it's a double standard, which is what I've always said when I talk about this issue, is that Roe has actually placed an undue burden on women to feel and be pressured to have an abortion. So look, you have these major corporations saying we favor women aborting their children because it's better for the workforce. Is it better for their bottom line? How is this actually better for women? And there's no choice in that when they're only funding one option.
Well, remember, it was Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen who basically said, if you overturn Roe v. Wade, it's going to have a negative impact on our economy. It's like, wait a second, you're getting rid of lives and you're using that as not helping our economy. I just think
it's quite the stretch.
It is quite the
stretch. And I
also,
another argument that you'll hear a lot right now is that for poor, underserved women, they need abortion. And I think how offensive.
How offensive.
That if you don't fit in a certain class, then the solution we're going to offer you and really demand of you is abortion. How about we give them hope-filled solutions and resources and support and supplies? I mean, it's so condescending that it's heartbreaking.
Well, we'll be right back with more of Brandi Swindell.
You know where you want to be. You want to be here with us in Budapest, Hungary, for CPAC Hungary, which starts Thursday. We're here on the ground. We have great speakers coming from all over the globe, including from America. Candace Owens is going to be here with her great husband. We have Ben Ferguson coming. We have Caroline Wren coming. And we have a lot of wonderful special people from our CPAC family here talking about freedom and individual rights and the importance of national sovereignty as we take on these modern clashes that are going on in our societies across the globe. Anyway, we'll be giving you updates throughout the conference. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to America Uncanceled. Brandi Swindell joining me, CEO and founder of Stanton Healthcare. Brandi, we were having this great discussion. I always love these girl panels. It's why I made sure that Reverend Pat Mahoney didn't join us today on our panel discussion, because I'm always about how do we empower young women? How do we empower moms to really get involved in their communities? And you've done it in a way where you were like, I'm going to build out these healthcare centers for women. Tell us about, you have always these amazing stories that I love hearing. That's kind of these, I want to say it's almost salvation stories to a certain extent, about, a mom who was really struggling with the choice, should I have the baby, should I abort the child? Share with us one of these stories.
Sure. Well, one of our most recent ones is, I just absolutely love it, is someone who was actually going through law school and ended up having an unexpected pregnancy with another law student, and she felt in her heart to keep the baby. And when she shared with the father of the baby, the fellow law student, he really pressured her into getting an abortion. And it just shook her to her core that in this day and age, when you should feel empowered and that you can have a baby and go through law school and all these things, she got pressured from this particular person. And also with some of the other law students who just assumed that she would have an abortion. She ended up not having an abortion, following her gut, finished law school, had the baby during law school. So, pregnancy, labor and delivery, ended up graduating with baby in tow on her hip and passed the bar the first time with the baby. So here she is, a single mom, unexpected pregnancy, in the middle of law school, and is a champion for what it is to be an empowered woman, that you can embrace your children and achieve your dreams and goals. And so we're actually doing a feature documentary video on her because she really goes into detail of how there was, she never realized until she had this unexpected pregnancy, this unspoken sort of systematic assumption that people have that you should just have an abortion. It would just make everything easier. And so she describes a certain scenario where she had to tell somebody, you're not making me feel very empowered right now by the way you're behaving. Yeah, she's feisty. She doesn't get pushed around. Right. But her heart broke because she realized, she had a supportive family, supportive friends, ended up the dean of students at the college was very supportive. And so she built that, she got that support system around her, but her heart broke for the women who maybe don't have that person or support system to encourage them. And in their gut, they want to have the baby, but society tells them you're going to be better off if you have an abortion. And so these are some of those stories that are just so incredibly powerful. And I have so many stories. Mercy, so many stories of women. We're doing abortion pill reversal now. We have 3 babies in the last few months that have been saved because our doctor has done an abortion pill reversal because the women have changed. They come in if we catch it early enough. Yeah. They catch it early. And if they go back to Planned Parenthood, they're not going to get help. Planned Parenthood will not and tells them there's nothing you can do. So they find us, they come to us.
How do they find you?
So we do a lot of online advertising. We do a lot of marketing. We have a lot of word of mouth. We advertise abortion pill reversal and that they're not alone and they can come to us. Because think about it, women take the first pill at the abortion clinic, then they're sent home to take the other pills. It takes 2 to 3 days. They have that whole time period.
Think about
it. Yeah. Right. And so where do they go if they change their mind?
Right.
So that's what Stanton's there for.
Wow.
Is that incredible?
That is incredible. I think we're all trying to, figure out what is this going to mean with a Roe v. Wade, overturning Roe v. Wade as it's going to the states. Do you think that just all further divides the country, or is there a way that we can find kind of this common ground on the other side as well?
Well, I've gotten this question quite a bit in the last few weeks.
I thought I was the only one asking.
No, well, no, you do. It's a very innovative question.
There you go.
No, maybe not the argument from pro-aborts saying, isn't this just going to create, or people neutral, how about this, people neutral on the issue, who say, this is going to cause so much division and chaos. And I have to remind them, well, bringing an end to the Vietnam War brought division and chaos. Bringing an end to segregation, division and chaos. Women having the right to vote and votes for women and equality, there was division and chaos. So anytime there's real progress, making a difference, that can cause some tension and some unrest, but it has to happen. Birth is messy. That's one of my good friends loves to say that. Yeah. So sometimes it's uncomfortable, but that's how we move forward. And I think there's a lot of people who are neutrals, meaning they're not 100% pro-life, not 100% pro-choice. They're trying to navigate this, who at the end of the day want women to have life-affirming solutions and are listening to the arguments in a new way. For example, Bill Maher, did you hear Bill Maher say that he read the leak, the SCOTUS leak, and said, I have to be honest here, there was a lot about abortion in America I did not know. Wow. And he said, if he had no idea that we were one of the most least restrictive nations on abortion. He's going, if you want abortion with no restrictions and you don't want to move to Germany, you don't want to move to England, he started naming off all the places. And we're closer to North Korea and China in our abortion policies, which is horrifying. And every American should be appalled at that.
And so aware and educated.
Educated and informed, exactly. And so I think that's the thing. And we need to see more support for single moms and women facing unexpected pregnancies. That's what we need to see, because we have enough resources here in America to meet the needs of women facing unexpected pregnancies.
So I want to play this clip. It occurred on The View. It didn't specifically have to deal with abortion, but I did think it brought an interesting perspective, which I responded to on Twitter. I don't know why we want to play from The View, but you know what? They're such silly ladies that I thought that let's take them on. So take a listen to this.
They are playing to the base. I mean, if you look at all the studies, the Republican Party has moved further to the right than Democrats have to the left. There's a Pew Research Center analysis that finds that on average, Democrats and Republicans are farther apart ideologically today than at any time in the past 50 years. And that ideological divide breaks down to the Republican Party being an extremist party, and the Democratic Party actually, as you just mentioned, Sarah, moving more to the center.
But isn't the problem
that is
the
the
primary?
So that was Sunny Hostin. I responded on Twitter saying, in Hostin's small world, I should have said tiny world, killing a 9-month baby in the womb is not extreme. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Seriously, I think there's something to be said of where the Democrats have gone, especially on this issue of abortion, where they have gone extreme. And it's no longer about a rare abortion anymore.
No.
It is till the moment of birth or after birth. I mean, who is really driving it? Is it, Planned Parenthood pushing it? Is it Nancy Pelosi? I mean, who's driving it?
I think the abortion industry is aggressive. They're well funded. They have politicians in their pockets. It's an agenda that is not one of compassion. It's not one of love. It's not one of hope. It's extreme. It's angry. And let's be real about it. Abortion is violence in the womb. It's a violent, extreme act. And so it's really sad, though, to see how far the Democrats have gone to where their talking points are so egregious and they don't even realize what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so when you stop and think about what they're really championing and supporting and encouraging, it's unbelievable. And I think, Planned Parenthood is very well funded. They're very well organized, and so I think there's been a takeover of the Democratic Party. I mean, you can hardly be a pro-life Democrat and get elected anymore.
Great
which it didn't used to be that way.
Yes.
So there really is not fair representation
Right.
of pro-life Democrats,
Right.
which I know plenty, especially out in Idaho.
Yeah.
Where it's more that kind of blue-collar Democrat
Yeah.
type that still has, their Catholic faith that they embrace and that pro-life position. And now it's almost, there's no room for that in the Democratic Party. And like you said, it used to be safe, rare, and legal. They've removed all that. I mean, it's abortion on demand without question through all 9 months.
I do want to get your reaction to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's remarks he gave. I thought this was very telling of the direction of where we're going in terms of our government. Let's take a listen.
I think we are in danger of destroying the institutions that are required for a free society. You can't have a civil society, a free society, without a stable legal system. You can't have one without stability in things like property or interpretation and impartial judiciary.
So, Brandi, this is a Supreme Court justice. They're obviously feeling very intimidated, bullied. I mean, I don't think Clarence Thomas is ever intimidated by anyone.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, there is a lot of intimidation right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, that leak was purposeful.
Right.
And it was to really put pressure so the Democrats can get organized very quickly. What are your thoughts on what Thomas has said? Is there a fear here in America that our institutions are in a weakened position, especially our legal institutions, as the Democrats always talk about packing the court and really influencing the judicial system?
Yeah, I think it's terrifying when you hear the comments about packing the court or anybody saying that the leak was a wonderful thing. I mean, that's just a horrifying thought, and you hear that from the Democrats. I mean, these institutions are sacred. They're kind of the heartbeat of our democracy, and it's how we survive and function, and a lot of good has come from that. So I think Justice Thomas, his words were really important for this day and age, that we have to protect these institutions, and that a free people is what creates these institutions and what must also sustain these institutions, and we must never lose that. And so any conversation about changing, manipulating, getting rid of is really a sad thought. And I really hope that this emerging generation understands that. I mean, I had, the grandparents, the grandfathers, that shared with me those stories of why they fought in wars and why democracy and freedom is so critical. And I just hope that this emerging generation doesn't lose sight of, those stories that our grandparents and parents have told us.
Well, thank you, Brandi Swindell. Thank you for all your incredible work you do for the pro-life movement. You really inspire all of us. And where can people learn more about Stanton Healthcare?
Yes, absolutely. Go to StantonInternational.org, StantonInternational.org. Get more information about what we do, who we are, and we just love getting people involved in what we're doing.
And it's a great group to support, and I'm honored to help them out, be on the board, and make sure that we move forward and do great things together. So God bless you.
Yes.
God bless everything you're doing.
Thank you, Mercy.
Well, thank you all for joining us tonight on America Uncanceled. We'll have more for you, and maybe a special appearance from Matt Schlapp somewhere in the middle of Budapest in Hungary. I can't wait to catch up with him. It'll be like our little date night together. Hope you all have a great night.